Hi, it's David from the Dead Daisies, and you're watching CMS TV.
Well, let's start with musicians quitting the music business. How about that? We have talked long and hard about AI, and I'm not going to get into a whole AI discussion this week. But we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And this week, we had not one, but two different musicians. One quit completely, one quit her band because of AI, allegedly.
Right. I saw the Plush girl quitting.
We'll get to Bella here in a
All
little
right.
bit. Well, let's start with the quitting it all.
Okay.
Former Evanescence guitarist Jen Majira stepping away from the industry.
Okay.
I just can't identify with today's attitude and values anymore. Now, I'm not going to lie. For me personally, this is a major bummer because Jen is an actual friend.
All right.
Like somebody that I do correspond with pretty regularly. And I was really bummed to see this, but her points are valid. I'll read you her statement, and then you jump in wherever you please to see if you agree, disagree, whatever. Her statement reads, Dear friends, I'm going to make this as brief as I can. After careful consideration, observing what's going on in the music industry, AI-related developments, and change in society, I've come to the conclusion to step away.
Okay.
Some of you have heard me talk about this quite a while ago. Instead of wasting another year of my life constantly hoping for new energy, drive, and creativity, I've reached a point in my life where I can confidentially lean back in peace. While time allowed me, I was able to collect an amazing amount of beautiful experiences, tours, shows, travels, and moments. I am grateful for every bit of that, but the world has changed. I can confidently make up my mind to stop. That's pretty hard, man.
All right.
And it goes on and on. I don't need to read all the rest of it because the rest of it is, ass kissing to the fans and friends and blah, blah, blah. But she's literally quitting. And I mean, we've talked about this for 10 years, but here it is in our face.
Right.
When there's no money to make, you're going to start losing musicians and bands.
Yeah, of course.
And here is a prime example. She's in a major band. You don't have to be an Evanescence fan to know of that band.
Yeah, they've been around for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's a pretty, still tours and sells 15 to 18,000 tickets a hit, every time they play a show. And I mean, she did get booted out of that band, which was unfortunate, but then she tried to do a couple of other bands. They didn't work out. And now she's done. Just said, fuck it. I'm just going to teach people to play guitar and find another job, I guess.
Well, I mean, if she was still actively in a big band such as Evanescence and things, I don't think she'd have the same stance. But when you're kind of like without a home and things aren't happening to where, you can be a performing musician and make a living at it if that's your goal.
Right.
I can understand saying, you know what, I'm just tired of beating my head against the wall because, there's no, what do you want to call a paying gig that will, that I can make a living out of.
Sure.
And I understand that. But like I said, if she was still involved with a major band that still is getting, tour gigs and stuff, she probably wouldn't have the same attitude, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? Because, dude, the thing that jumped out to me in that whole statement was the AI part.
Mm-hmm.
That musicians are now seeing it and saying, you know what? This shit is over.
Well, if she's trying to make a living as a session musician, which maybe she does, what could she, huh?
She does do that.
Oh, okay. Well, what keeps people from using AI instead of her?
That's it.
And that's it. Now, and again, I'm going to go back to being a live touring musician in a successful band or a popular enough band to where they can command a certain amount of money that could allow a person to make a living doing it. But if you're trying to do just session work, yeah, your days are over. You can just program AI to make do your noodling parts in a song, and nobody will know the difference.
Yeah, I just see this kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, this is somebody of pretty significant talent that's still pretty 41 years old or something. Still pretty young in the game to just say, I'm out.
Yeah.
This business is no longer going to support me.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's unfortunate, but you're to use a term, she's phased out. Phased out of the business. I mean, for veteran musicians out there, the legacy acts, just go back to the story I started in the beginning of the show. What George Lynch is doing,
right,
is teaching guitar lessons. And he told me last night, he says, people come to, get this guitar lesson for X amount of bucks, but all they want to do is talk to me and ask me questions and stuff. Hey, what was it like playing with, remember that?
Dude, remember when you opened for Van Halen?
He goes, so whether they want to learn and have me teach them some chords or some riffs or something, or whether they just want to sit there and yak my ear off, it's your dime, bro. So you use it any way you want,
Right.
And he says a majority of the people who have him as a captive audience they're just there to more or less interview him. Like, I'm sitting here with George Lynch one-on-one. I have my opportunity to sit here and talk to him.
Yeah. If they can get a picture of them holding their guitar while George is holding his, that's all they want.
And then, he pockets a couple grand and they're off.
How much it costs?
Happy.
A couple grand?
Oh, yeah.
For one lesson?
Yes.
Or is that for the whole meet and greet?
No, well, that's for you get a guitar, he gives you a guitar of some kind. I'm not really sure what the caliber of the guitar is, but you get a guitar, and then I think you get an hour, and he'll either teach you some riffs, or you could sit there and talk his ear off and be a fanboy, I guess.
Wow.
It's the Motley Crue album that shocked the world. 1994's self-titled release with its brand new sound and brand new voice in John Corabi. Fans were divided, critics were stunned, and the label pulled the plug. But for some, including rock critic Chris Akin, it was a game changer. In his latest book, Chris Akin takes you on a journey through this polarizing album, sharing his personal experiences and the impact it had on the rock scene. Love it or hate it, you can't ignore it. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net or on Amazon.
And he put some bank in his pocket, and everybody's happy.
It's probably more bank that he's making running around playing 3 songs with Doc every night.
I would guarantee it, because I think, like in Lima, I think he had eight people in Lima, and I think he had 8 or 10 people in St. Charles.
And it's $1,000 a hit?
I think it's 2 a hit.
$2,000? Wow. Good for George.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So he has the luxury of having a 50-year career,
right,
where he's made a legacy known name, as, obviously his talent got him where he is.
Sure.
But now he can capitalize on that by having people who worship his legacy.
Okay.
Pay him some money to sit there and chat with him, or have him show him how to play some chords.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Well, I don't think we've seen the end of this. I think we're going to see much more famous musicians than Jen Majura.
Yeah, I'll say that, if we're talking about people just trying to make a living from studio work, I'll agree with that. If you're part of a band that still commands X amount of dollars to play festivals, and you can still play tours and play some shows, maybe not so much those people.
How long until the AI takes out live performance?
Well, it's got to get better than what's currently out there with the,
I don't know. Some of it looks pretty good. The ABBA and
the ABBA thing is definitely pretty on it.
Yeah,
only
the
gonna get
Dio
better.
thing was low budget.
Yeah, and it was very early too.
Mm-hmm. But it was low budget. It was just throw a screen up there and go. It was kind of low budget. Where obviously the ABBA thing and the upcoming Kiss thing and whatnot they're throwing some millions of dollars to develop it, and I don't think they're throwing millions of dollars to develop it for one run around the States. I think they're throwing that money around because they see that as somehow it's not going to shock me when we find out that they've all been in cahoots with Live Nation this whole time developing it.
That would not, I mean, it would be foolish of Live Nation not to be involved with that.
Right.
Because that is the future, so to be able to, be on the cusp of the next big thing, that'd be foolish for them not to do that or embrace that.
Sure. It's just going to be, I can't even fathom, I don't know, 10 years from now and not even thinking about live concerts anymore because there won't be any. Or there will be, but there'll be little tiny things in tiny bars, and there'll be the one guy in the band that, talks up every show. We are the last of the kind that actually play our music, man.
Exactly.
We're never going to cave in. Never. That's coming too. I don't know. It's just I hate seeing it. And again, I know Jen, so maybe that's why I took interest in this story a little more than I'm because, I don't give a shit about Evanescence, quite frankly, but, I do know her and she's very talented and it's like, whew.
Well, she's been out for 3 years, so.
Yeah, well, she was doing that band, and we featured it here. In the End or whatever it was called, or In Wits End. It was with her and the drummer from Primal Fear, and there was like 4 or 5 people that were in it that were like legitimate people, but it just didn't get off the ground.
Right.
So, and I mean, that's the nature of the beast is, as well as I do, for every 1,000 bands that are launched, one might hit. And less now. There's really nobody hitting now that's new.
No.
So anyway, Jen Majira, out, done, because of AI.
Well, and rightly so.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
It's the album that changed everything, Metallica's Black Album. In Cause and Effect, Metallica, author Chris Akin takes you back to the lead-up, the release, and the shockwaves that followed. Relive the moment that divided fans, reshaped heavy metal, and turned commercial radio on its ear. With insider stories and personal memories from rock critic and radio personality Chris Akin, this book is a backstage pass to one of rock's most iconic moments. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Don't miss out on this epic journey through heavy metal history.